Hey everyone, welcome back. And Today we are actually going to talk about something many of us struggle with, letting go of control, particularly the need to control how others perceive us. And I think we often find ourselves trapped in patterns of perfectionism, overthinking, or even people pleasing because we fear being misunderstood or judged. But here's the thing, when we let go of control, we open the door to real freedom, inner peace, and personal growth. So let's dive into why letting go of control is so powerful and how we can start to do it in our lives. First, let's explore why we crave control in the first place. At its core, the desire to control is rooted in fear. We fear uncertainty, we fear rejection or being misunderstood. So we try to control the narrative around us, whether that's how others see us, how situations unfold, or even how people behave. This can manifest in various ways, like perfectionism, where we are constantly trying to manage how others perceive us by appearing flawless. It can also show up as people pleasing, where we prioritize others' opinions over our own needs, trying to manipulate how they see us in order to avoid conflict or maintain approval. But the harsh reality is that control is an illusion. No matter how much effort we put into managing others' perceptions or situations, there's always going to be an element that's outside our control. And the more we try to force control, the more anxiety and stress we create for ourselves. And you know what? Like, holding on to control comes with significant costs. The need to control how others see us can lead to burnout because we're constantly performing and adjusting ourselves to meet external expectations. You might be familiar with the feeling of being on high alert, always scanning the room to see if you are being perceived the right way. And it's exhausting, and it can take a serious toll on your mental and emotional well being. Another cost of holding on to control is that it limits your personal growth. When you're fixated on managing how others see you, you're not allowing yourself to be fully authentic. You might hold back your true feelings or opinions, or shy away from opportunities because they feel risky. But it's in these moments of vulnerability and uncertainty that we truly grow. And lastly, trying to control everything can damage your relationships. People can sense when you're trying to manipulate their perception of you, and it can lead to distrust or resentment. Relationships thrive on authenticity, and when you let go of control, you create space for genuine connections. Now, let's talk about the flip side. What happens when you finally let go of control? The first and most powerful result is freedom. When you stop trying to control how others perceive you, you liberate yourself from the constant stress and anxiety of managing perceptions. You start to realize that people will think what they want to think regardless of what you do. And that's okay. Letting go of control is also an act of trust, trust in yourself and trust in the universe. It means believing that you are enough as you are and that whatever happens will unfold as it should. It means trusting that you don't need to manage every single detail for things to work out in your favor. Another transformative benefit is growth. Letting go allows you to step out of your comfort zone and into areas of uncertainty where true personal development happens. When you release the need to control, you become more open to new experiences, new challenges, and even failures because you're no longer as invested in how you will be judged or what others might think. So, how do we actually let go of control, especially when it's such a deeply ingrained habit? It's not easy, but there are actionable steps we can take. The first step is becoming aware of when you are trying to control something. Pay attention to your thoughts and actions. Are you obsessing over how someone will react to your work? Are you worrying about whether people like you? Being mindful of these things can help you recognize these moments so you can start to detach from them. And then, step number two is to challenge your beliefs. You need to ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if I don't control this situation? Often, we catastrophize and think that letting go will lead to disaster. But when you challenge those beliefs, you realize that most of your fears are exaggerated. And letting go of control also requires a willingness to be vulnerable. This means being okay with making mistakes, being misunderstood, or even being judged. Vulnerability is the birthplace of courage and connection. When you allow yourself to be seen for who you really are, you create stronger and more authentic relationships. And sometimes we also need to set limits with our own thoughts, and I call it setting boundary with oneself. If you find yourself spiraling into control mode, set a mental boundary. Tell yourself, I'm going to let this go and trust that things will work out. You can even make a list of situations where you tend to over control and commit to releasing your grip in those areas. And I actually find this practice really powerful. Just make a list of situations that you try to control, make a list of people you try to control, because sometimes, we have expectations and we want certain person to behave certain way. Try to make a list of it all and then release it. Just tell yourself, I'm going to let this go and trust that things will work out. And lastly, focus on what you can control. It's important to note that letting go of control doesn't mean becoming passive. It's about distinguishing between what's within your control and what's not. You can control your actions, you can control your effort and your attitude, but not how others perceive you or how events unfold. So try to shift your energy toward what you can influence and let go of the rest. Now, let me share a quick story to illustrate this. A close friend of mine was a perfectionist for years, constantly, controlling her image at work, worrying about whether she was seen as competent, likable, and successful. And to be very honest, it consumed her to the point where she was afraid to take risks or speak her mind in meetings for fear of being judged. And eventually, what happened? She hit burnout. She decided to let go of trying to manage others' perceptions and focus on her growth and her own well being. And over time, she stopped worrying about whether she appeared perfect and started showing up as her authentic self. And you know what? This happened actually after she hit the burnout. So that was really heartbreaking. Uh, you know, but once she started doing it, once she decided to let go of trying to, manage others, what was the result? Not only did she feel lighter and more at peace, but her relationships at work actually improved. People trusted her more, and she was promoted within a year. The moment she stopped controlling things, started flowing in her favor, right? So I think it's very important to understand that letting go of control is not easy, but the rewards are worth it. When you release the need to control others' perceptions or outcomes, you open yourself up to true freedom, personal growth, and deeper connections. It's a practice and it takes time, but the power lies in knowing that you don't have to hold on so tightly. Trust that you are enough as you are, and that letting go is the key to unlocking your true potential. Thank you for joining me today on this journey. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. Until next time, keep embracing your path to freedom and growth.